Is the man keeping you down? Are you sick of the status quo? Are you ready to burn it all down and start some anarchy? Well, then you might be Gruul. Gruul's new mechanic, appropriately, is Riot. You may have this creature enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, or instead, give it haste. So it's kind of like Unleashed, but not. Alright, so let's start with all the creatures with Riot, because it's only on creatures. Skargan Hellkite. Holy crap, that is a good card. It is 5 mana for 4/4 flying. Love it already. Has Riot, so it could be a 5/5 or a 4/4 with haste. But if you make it a 5/5 because it has a counter on it, you can pay for and deals 2 damage, divide as you choose. That's so good. I think most of the time you're going to want to have it have the counter just so you can have that ability. But if you're being aggro or you just need to get in there for 4 damage to just, kill your opponent, go right ahead. Don't feel bad about it. Next we have Ravnica Worm. This is a mythic, just like the last one. But I'm not as hyped on it because 6 mana for 4/5. That's fine. You can give it haste, sure, if you just need to attack. Could be a 5/6. That's nice. And has 2 abilities. One I like. It fights when it enters the battlefield. The other one is destroy a land with an activated ability, and that's not going to ever happen. So 6 mana for a 5/6 that fights. That's good. I like it, actually. But I don't know. I guess maybe I just wish it had evasion or something, because when it attacks, it's going to get chump blocked a lot. Gruul Spellbreaker. Hey, 3 mana for a 3/3. I'll always play that. The fact it can be a 4/4, I have haste. That's even better. Has trample already, so it's getting through. And then it has hexproof for you and it on your turn. So I like that. That's not bad. I mean, it can't die to removal when you attack or something. And, you can't take direct damage on your turn, so that's nice. Just an interesting mechanic right there, I think. Frenzied Arnex. I love this card at common. 4 mana for a hill giant. But like I said, haste or 4/4. Has trample already. That's great. And it can just become, bigger late in the game. If you could pump this twice, which you're not going to. But even once, it's like freaking 7 damage coming through with trample. That's great. Love this card. We played a couple of those. Clamor Shaman. Yeah, 3 mana. A little expensive for its stats. But the fact that when it attacks, target creature can't block. That's always great in these type of decks because you're going to be attacking a lot. Mostly you're going to attack with this, it's going to die, but the fact you can blink their biggest blocker, that's awesome. Zertal Goblin. I love this guy just because he's 2 mana for a 3/3. I mean, usually that's what's going to be. The 2/2 with haste, yeah, if he comes down on turn 2, you'll do that. But mainly 2 mana for a 3/3, that's awesome. I'll always play that. Gruul Beastmaster. This one I'm a little down on, I'll say, just because of its stats. It's 4 mana for a 2/2, which, you're giving something else +2/+0. That's not too exciting. It could be 3/3 if you, do that part of Riot. I don't know. I don't think that's enough, I feel like. It's going to die most of the time, but it does make something a little bit bigger so it can trade up or just hit for a lot of damage, which is nice. Burning Tree Vandal. I love this because the discard draw card every time it attacks. I mean, it's going to die most of the time just because it's a 2/1. But, even at a 3/2, it's still going to die a lot. But the fact you get to discard draw, that's great in this deck. It needs that. Rampaging Rinhorn, this is like your basic Riot card, I'd say, just because, 5 mana for 4/4, that's a yawn. 5 mana for 5/5, that's nice. Definitely playable, just not very exciting. Gorg Clanwrecker, now we're getting to the ones I'm not too excited about. 4 mana for 2/2, haste and menace, that's not good. It could be a 3/3 with menace, but even then, that's still not very exciting. I mean, maybe, I could easily see cutting that though. And then Wrecking Beast. 7 mana is too much for this guy. Yeah, he's 6/6, trample with haste. I love that, but in this deck, 7 mana is going to be a lot, I feel like. And make him a 7/7. That's fine too. I feel like you're just going to do the haste most of the time though, if you get this off. All right, now let's talk about the creatures of Gruul. Sunder Shaman. Ooh, this one. I am on the fence about this. I like it. 4 mana for 5/5. I'll play that. It's just, I'm always wary of those double cost spells there. And, it can't be gang blocked, so it's going to be just taking out a lot of things. Get chump blocked, but it's going to keep chump blocking, whittling them down. And if it deals damage, its ability is okay, I guess. I don't know if you cared that much, but you are dealing 5 damage, so that's nice. It's just a big, dumb guy, and that's fine, but I just don't like that it doesn't have evasion. Clan Guildmage, love this card. It's 2 mana for a 2/2. Makes it so a creature can't block. awesome, exactly what you want to do. And then, you know, if you need creatures or you just want to get in there for some extra damage, your land just becomes a 4/4. You're going to have a ton of lands in sealed because it's probably going to go long. Making it a 4/4 to attack, that's so much better. Bulwark Clan Crusher. Hey, this is awesome. I mean, if you do the right where they get +1/+1 counters, this guy just deals 2 damage to a ton of things. Exactly what you want to do late in the game if you can't get through on damage. You just tap him, keep doing 2 damage to your opponent. That's great. And it's 5 mana for a 4/4. That's fine. Nikia of the Old Ways. Oh, this one, I don't know about this. 5 mana for a 5/5 with no evasion. That's okay. I'm not excited. You can't cast non-creature spells, so all your direct damage, your combat tricks, can't do any of those. But you do get to tap for double your land, which is nice, but you better have something to put into that. Maybe if you're like Slash Simic, that's much better. If you have a bunch of big creatures you need to cast, sure, but I feel like this is more of a card that, like, in some decks it's going to be great. In other decks, you know, it's just going to be a 5/5 that's going to attack and not do much. Rubble Belt Runner, 3 mana for a 3/3. I'll play that. The fact he can't get chump blocked by tokens, love it. That's fine. Biogenic Ooze. Holy crap, this card is so good. I mean, just 5 mana for an army of 2 oozes that you can just make bigger and then make more oozes. Oh, it's just so good. Love this card. End-Raze Forerunners. Another amazing card in this deck. It's a little hard to cast it, you know, 3 green, and it is 7 mana, but it comes down, attacks right away, deals a ton of damage because it's making your whole team huge. It itself, 7 right there. Ugh. You having some trouble casting that? Don't worry, we got Incubation Druid, who makes so much mana. First off, it doesn't fix your mana, but if you can adapt this, holy crap, it makes 3 of any color you already can make, and then makes itself a 3/5, which, you know, attack or block pretty well. Silhana Wayfinder, another way just to fix your mana, maybe get a creature you need. This guy's great. Comes down early, can block a 2/2, maybe even a 3-drop. Fine card. Play a couple of those in any deck. Trollbred Guardian. Hey, 5 mana for a 5/5. Like I said before, that's fine. It can only get bigger. And all your creatures with +1/+1 have trample. That means all your right creatures now have trample. That is so good in this deck. Sorrowform Hybrid comes down early as a 2/2. I'll play that, and then later in the game, you know, just make him bigger into a 6/6. And, you know, say you have that Trollbred. Now it's a 6 with trample. It's just great. Enraged Ceratok, you know, it's a fine card. Can attack and not get chump blocked easily. It's going to take out something at least. Maybe something kind of important if they want to block. And if they don't, hey, you deal them 4 damage. Mammoth Spider, great against any flyers, against flying tokens. Kills so many of those. Not, you know, the most exciting card, but I feel like in sealed, it's going to help you out a lot. Dagger Caster, 4 mana for a 2/3 isn't the best, but, you know, does damage to your opponent. So say you're splashing for Rakdos right there, Spectral Cost right there, and then deals 1 damage to every creature they control, therefore taking out any Orzhov tokens if they're playing that. Such a good card. Love this one. Immolation Shaman, he's fine. I like him. I like him better in the Rakdos deck, I think, because of its pinging damage. But, you know, if you have enough mana, this guy can get big. He can attack really well with minutes and stuff. So I can see it later in the game just being something you can get through. All right, now let's talk about the removal of Gruul. Savage Smash. This is the type I like. 3, a little expensive, we'll say, at sorcery 2, but gets +2/+2 and then fights. So say you have a 5/5. You fight their 4/4. Now you can attack with a 7/7. So good. Trash Threat. That's cheap instant right there with a creature you control just dealing damage to any creature or planeswalker. You don't control, of course. Love that. And then Threat, you're just making a big dumb creature with trample. Heck yeah. And it's only 4 mana. Titanic Brawl. Hey, with Riot, this is probably only going to cost you 1 green. It's instant, and it's just a fight card. It's like Prey Upon, but better. And I always like Prey Upon Unlimited. Electro Dominance. This card is bonkers. Like I've said before, if you tap this for 5 mana, you're dealing 3 damage and playing a 3-drop. Could be a 3/3. So 5 mana for 3 damage and a 3-drop. That's crazy good. So good. Love this card. Wow. It's a bomb in limited. Flames of the Razeboard. That's what, you know, this card is made for this deck. 6 mana to deal 4 damage to target creature. And then you're probably going to have something with 4 or greater power. So you're going to deal 2 damage to all their other creatures. That's so good. Could wipe the boards on so many token things or Rakdos small creatures. Scorchmark, hey, It's cheap. It's 2 damage. You're going to kill a lot of things with this. And if they have Afterlife, they're getting exiled. No triggers happening. Screw the critics. Direct damage is always good. 3 of it, even better. If you get the spectacle cost, hey, that's great. Now let's talk about some of the good Gruul spells. Domri, Chaos Bringer. This card, just so good all around. 4 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. That's great. So to protect itself, a little bit harder. You can help cast a creature there for blocking, and it also gives it Riot, so don't attack with it if you need a blocker. It's -3, helps you get creatures. That's awesome. And it's -8, just makes an emblem that gives you creatures throughout the game. So good. This guy, he does so much. Cares about creatures a lot, but still, who cares? That's what Limited's all about. Collision Colossus. Now, the collision part, it's very sideboardy. I think it's nice that it's on a split card. That way you can mainboard it, because there's going to be a lot of flyers. You're probably going to use this more often than not. But the Colossus part, I have always loved that. Just dealing a ton of damage, giving something trample at instant speed. So good. Can win you the game. Can take out their big guy. Biogenic Upgrade. This card, holy crap. I've always loved these effects in Limited. Just putting a ton of counters on your guys. It makes anything you have such a threat now. And this just like goes overboard. If you have like just 3 tokens or something, this makes them so good. Open the Gates, a great way, a cheap way to fix your mana. Gets gates too, and I love that. Active Treason, always a fine one-off, I think. You don't always have to play it, but it is nice just to take their creature and then all-out attack if it was a really good blocker. And if you have a way to sacrifice stuff, hey, that's even better. Sacrifice their creature instead of one of yours. Burn Bright, basically kind of Trumpet Blast, but I don't know. I feel like in this deck it really belongs, and I love that it's instant speed. So, you know, if you have something that won't quite kill their creature because the power's not high enough, hey, guess what? Combat Trick. Storm Strike. Now, this is a better combat trick. They keep making this card, and they just keep adding to it. So now it's +1/+0, and First Strike, and you get to Scry. So at 1 mana, hey, that's awesome. Light the Stage. So I was wrong about this with my Rakdos. It's actually a pretty good card because it is a pretty much divination. You may play those cards until the end of your next turn. So you have plenty of time to play things. Spectacle at 1, it would be just so amazing. Yeah, this card's actually not bad. Especially Ants, red, draw, basically. Now let's talk about some sideboard cards. Cinder Vines. Now, you're mainly sideboarding this for the destruction of a enchantment or artifact. But, you know, dealing 1 damage to your opponent when they cast a non-creature spell, that can be fine because, you know, maybe they're playing counter spells or just ways to bounce things and stuff. And it still has 1 damage to them. Gets in there. I like that. So yeah, not a bad little sideboard card. Deface. It's cheap. It's only 1 mana. Destroy target artifact or creature with the Defender. Don't know how many times you want to destroy a creature with the Defender. And I don't know if there's too many artifacts you want to destroy, but hey, sideboard it if you need it. Gates Ablaze. This is one of those cards that cares about gates. And, you know, you have to sideboard in if you have gates or not. If you don't, hey, guess what? This card does nothing. But say you have 3, 4. If you can wipe out their board and keep most of yours, that's awesome. Gatebreaker Ram, another one that cares about gates. But you don't need too many gates for this guy to be good. I mean, if you have 1, it's 3 mana for a 3/3. That's fine. I would definitely play that. And lastly, Sagitar's Volley. This you could almost mainboard just because there's so many flyers going around. The fact you can just totally destroy Orzhov's board with this, such a good card. Now, let's talk about some bad Gruul cards. Cavalcade of Calamity. Even Rakdos doesn't want this, and that's where it belongs. This only cares about 1 power or less. Not going to happen in Gruul. Just not a good card. Mirror March. Way too much mana. This is a commander card all the way through. This comes down, doesn't do anything, and you have to wait for your next turn just to maybe do something. No, thank you. Rumble Reading, just not even a sideboard card. You're not going to want to destroy any lands. And the Scrying 2, not worth it, since this thing is a sorcery and costs 4. 10th Street Dodger, I think I had this in like a maybe Rakdos Spectacle Enabler. Here is not even close to worth it. 1 mana for 1/1 haste. Yay, who cares? That thing's just going to get killed. And then you have to pay 1 just for it to make it unblockable. And can still get blocked by defenders. So all around, not good. Wilderness Reclamation, just not a fan of this card. It costs too much mana, 4 mana, just to be able to untap all your lands. I mean, what are you really going to be doing at instant speed in Gruul? Not much. I think the place this belongs to Simic, and even there, I don't like it. So skip it here. Guardian Project. I mean, this card looks like it's made for limited, but it costs 4 mana, which is way too much. And then it just doesn't do enough, really. I mean, it draws you a card, but you had Beast Whisperer last set, who was a creature, and you just drew a card anytime you played another creature. That's amazing. This is an enchantment for the same cost, and it cares about when you can draw a card. So no thank you. Rampage of the Clans. This card, like I said before, what are you even doing with this long con of playing a bunch of artifacts and enchantments and then wiping them all so you can get 3/3s? So let's go over some of the pros. The pros, ton of creatures. Creatures nonstop. I feel like this is the type of deck where your opponent will deal with one creature and then you just play another big creature next, and they're just like, come on, how many times are you gonna play a creature? So just all around, love it. It's gonna just keep bashing in. Riot is just such a good mechanic for that. It can make them bigger or just make them attack really hard. There's a ton of removal for this. Not as much as, you know, black and white, but lots of direct damage, lots of ways of just fighting other creatures. All right, now some of its cons, flyers. This doesn't have many ways to deal with flyers. So if the ground gets gummed up and you guys can't get through and they have flyers, it's going to be hard. It's a very standard deck, we'll say. I don't know if that's a con really, but if you're just trying to have like weird fun at pre-release, this is probably the most standard one of like a mid-range deck that just attacks and, you know, gets things off the board, get out of the way. All right, and this is sealed, so you might go 3 colors. You might not with Gruul, I'm not quite sure. But if you do, I'd say go with Simic because, you know, it cares about counters. They both do. They go great together. First, we have Hydroid Krasis. This card is amazing. If you can splash for it, heck yeah, I'll play it. If you pay 5 mana for this, it comes down as a 3/3 that draws you a card and gains you a life, which I'll play that. Has Frample, love it. 6 mana is the sweet spot to make a 4/4 that draws you 2 cards, gains you 2 life. So good. Zagana, Utopian Speaker. If you already have a creature with Riot that has a counter on it, you play this, you get to draw a card, and then now that creature has Trample, you can adapt this for 4 more, making it 8/8 with Trample. Love it. So good. Galloping Lizrog, right there. Another card that if you have counters with Riot already, you can put it on him to make him bigger. That's great. Combine Guildmage. Hey, you got Riot counters, you want to put on other things? Move them around with this. If you have a creature that has Riot to come into play, it comes into play with maybe a 1/1 counter and haste if you don't give it Riot, but use it, the Guildmage's ability to give it a counter, or comes into play with 2 1/1 counters. So good. Skatewing Spy. Hey, guess what? Now all those Riot creatures have flying. Oh, so good. Stupid. And if Gruul doesn't have enough removal for you, you've got some bounce spells here with Applied Biomancy. It's cheap. You get something out of the way for a turn. Can also pump something. You got Swirling Torment here, which costs a lot of mana, but gets rid of 2 blockers, which is very nice. Blank's also a turn because you have to draw one of those blockers. And lastly, Repudiate, Replicate. Repudiate part, don't really care about that. It's the Replicate part. Here you can just copy one of your big Gruul creatures. Got another one. So good. Love it. They go, these 2 colors go well. So good. Teamer for life. All right, that does it for my guides. Thank you so much, everyone. I love doing these. They're a lot of work, but I hope they help you out. Let me know how you did during your pre-releases. I'm going to try and do some. Hopefully I can. Good luck, everyone. Goodbye. This program brought to you by viewers like you.